Captain speaking. Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Timeout in the heart of Times Square, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio, episode number 110. Today is Saturday, April the 25th, and day 37 of Fort Myers Beach being closed. And we are not broadcasting from Beach this weekend. We are broadcasting live from our very own home studio in our backyard on our lanai. All right, here's the latest. As of Friday, there were approximately 30,174 confirmed coronavirus cases in Florida. And on Friday, Florida, a state of more than 20 million people, surpassed the 1,000 death mark. The governor's stay-at-home order expires on Thursday, April the 30th. A new Quinnipiac poll said 72% of registered Florida voters do not favor loosening the social distancing requirements. Yesterday, the governor said there is no set date to open up the state. His task force gave him recommendations Friday and he plans to look them over all weekend and announce something over the next few days. Last week, Lee County opened up 10 parks for exercise purposes. Fort Myers Beach remains closed. Hotels on Fort Myers Beach cannot take reservations until June 26th, although that will probably be looked at Monday and may change. The town council is holding a special meeting to discuss all 4 of their emergency declarations. And joining us to start the show is Vice Mayor Rexanne Hossafras. Rexanne, thanks for coming on.
Good to see you.
How are things on the beach?
Quiet. I've been out a few times just to drive the car around to make sure the battery doesn't run down. And there's some traffic, but there's not a lot of activity, just cars going up and down Estero Boulevard. And of course, nobody's out on the beach. It's kind of sad.
Before we get to the big questions about the beach, you were appointed by was it the Lee County Board of Commissioners to a tourism committee? Can you tell us about that, what that's all about?
Well, the Tourist Development Council is an advisory council for the Lee County Commissioners about how they spend the bed tax that's collected. So there's a big pot of money there. There's a lot of state and county rules about how that gets allocated. Different entities come in and apply for money. The town of Fort Myers Beach gets a nice sum of money that we use to pay for labor to keep the beach clean and to do physical things to our beach accesses, things like that. So that's an example of how the money is used. But we advise the commissioners on how it does get allocated.
Great. So last week there was a discussion at the council meeting on Monday about opening the beach up for, I can't recall if it was 2 or 3 hours in the morning. Was it 3?
I had asked for 7 to 9 a.m.
Oh, 2 hours in the morning. And that was kind of a compromise was made. You guys decided to hold another meeting this coming Monday where the only topic will be probably that discussion and the declarations. Can you kind of tell us what's going to happen Monday? What's on the agenda?
Well, we have a series of declarations and orders. I think there is a total of 4 of them. I remember that as we've gone through this process, we've kept promising people that those would be reviewed regularly. They technically weren't on the agenda last week, which has made some people uncomfortable about us taking any action. So I asked for a special meeting so that that would be the only agenda item. We wouldn't be have our attention diverted to other topics, and we will discuss any of those topics that people have an interest in discussing. I think the 2 biggies are going to be a limited opening of the beach and whether we pull back any on allowing reservations for the lodging establishments.
And just to sort of review with people, because it gets a little confusing, I think, to some people, can you review who's responsible for what? So, for example, like I know, well, the beach and the beach proper, like the sandy part, the town council kind of decides what happens there. And then it's a mixed group of, local, county, state governments that have, issues with the parks and the hotels. So but you guys also have
I've
that.
kind of
so-
got two different answers for that.
Okay.
There's the big question, which is who has authority in these situations. And there was a lot of question at one time about whether the state would have authority over what we do. And the governor made it very clear that he was willing to allow localities to do kind of local things to govern ourselves to a certain degree, which I was very grateful that he did, because that's always a big struggle between the local and the state on home rule. And I think DeSantis did a great job in saying, no, you guys get to decide what happens with you. Now, when it comes down to the beach, we have the communication that we need to do with the county, because the county owns the big beach parks. So even if we as the council decide to allow a limited walking along the beach, that doesn't open the beach parks unless the county commissioners decide to open those. The only beach park that the town owns is Newton Park, which is near Publix, and it's small.
So it sounds the dog's got to go out already. It sounds to me like you had three
Some
votes.
things take precedence, Ed.
It's the whole working at home thing. You learn a lot about how many dogs people have and the kids in the background, and so it sounds to me like there were three votes that would vote to open the beach for a limited time. So if there's a vote to open the beach for a limited time, and people all over Lee County know that, how do you know they won't line up at 5 o'clock to try and get on that beach for 2 hours? And how do you prevent something like that, or don't you?
Well, the proposal that I put forth, which I fully expect to be modified by the other two votes, they certainly have, when I want them to chime in on it. I want everybody to chime in on it, actually. It was just an idea I had. But the provisions that I put in was that we would not open any of the beach parking. So that forces anybody who comes in from off the beach to try and find someplace else to park. And I'm not saying that won't happen. There may be a few people who pull that off, but they've got to find a place to park within walking distance to a beach access. And the second provision that I put in was that if they're stopped, they have to produce some kind of ID to show that they're a beach resident, because my provision said that it's open for walking for 2 hours only for residents of the town of Fort Myers Beach.
Is that something that you can do? I mean, can you take a beach like that and just allow it for the residents of the beach? Is that you guys have the power to do that?
There's a lot of things that under normal circumstances we wouldn't have the power to do, but under emergency orders, our powers are very broad. And my plan in doing this is we've got to try something. And I figured the narrowest opening that we could try would be a good thing to start with. And the good thing is then we have another regular meeting in 1 week. So if this blows up and it's not working, we can close it back down. So that's what I would tell everybody is please abide by what we're trying to do, because if you don't, it's going to get closed back down again. So I'm trying to take a baby step here, and then maybe we'll be able to take another baby step in another week or two.
Just to, I love watching the comments in the comment box. I don't know if you can see them. I don't know if anybody that we've ever interviewed can see them, but sometimes people get into their own conversations with the comments and not really paying attention to the show. So the other thing that I thought of was, let's say 7 to 9 is chosen.
Mm-hmm.
How do you enforce, like now you've got whatever number of people on a 5 or 6 mile stretch of sand. What's the plan to enforce to get them off at 9? And what's gonna happen if, somebody that says it's a public beach, I'm not getting, there's a different scenarios. You probably guess 99% of the people are going to abide by the rules, but in case somebody doesn't, how do you deal with that?
Well, my guess is, and I haven't discussed this with Roger because it's been hypothetical all along, but my guess is what he's planning to do is put the base guys out there on the gators patrolling up and down the beach. He'll probably have some extra people on the first couple of days to monitor things. When 9 o'clock comes, if there are still people out there, they'll be encouraging them to leave. If someone downright refuses to leave, my guess, if I were a base guy, what I would do is say, look, I'm going to call the sheriff so we don't have an altercation here. I'm sure that the sheriffs will also the deputies will be on alert that we're having this opening. So they'll be alert around 9 o'clock, whatever morning this might be, to be ready to come out and assist base just to make sure that nothing turns into, a nasty situation.
Why not open the beach all day long?
There are a lot of people who have a lot of fear and a lot of concern about what's going on. And I've always been a person who's in the middle. I don't know if you've noticed it during town council meetings, but I'm rarely completely on one side or the other. And I think the best way to do things is with moderation. You take a baby step first and see if this works. If it's not working, we're chasing a lot fewer people off the beach than if we had opened it entirely. If we opened it entirely and there was a mob scene, then that would really be very difficult for the deputies and our base guys to chase people off the beach. So I'm always in favor of let's take things in baby steps and see how it works.
But under this plan, to be clear, or under, what you were talking about, the parking still would be closed.
Right.
Okay. But what about like private parking lots? They would be?
Private parking lots may or may not be open. Okay. I think a lot of them have closed just for lack of business. So whether they would reopen or not, that's something we might discuss on Monday, is whether we can restrict them from opening to help with the situation or not.
And then what about Letran coming down?
I don't think
they're closed right now.
Letran is closed.
Okay.
So I don't think we would be able to get any special exception or would want a special exception.
Right. Yeah, no.
So before we get off the beach thing, I forgot what I was going to ask. Damn it! Oh, what are you going to do about the lawn chairs and the things like that? What I mean, I don't mean to ask you what you're going to do, but what would your preference be?
The provision that I put forth said that it's for walking or running only. No beach towels, no coolers. We don't want people sitting down and trying to do a party. The idea is to allow people what they're allowed to do, which is to get out and exercise, not have a party on the beach.
Right.
Yeah, I saw it referred to in one article as non-stationary exercise.
So you're so funny. The thing, I've been out of the house twice this last week to get a tire for my bike, and I went to 7-Eleven on the bike. I didn't get in the car, but wherever I go somewhere, you see that people are staying away from, maybe I'd BO or something, but you see that people are standing 6 feet away from you. It looks like most people, no matter what is decided, are going to try and avoid people. I think that most people, have you noticed that at all, Rex? That people are
walking at least every other day or bicycling, and I have had excellent manners shown by everyone. Our sidewalks are narrow, so people are, when they approach each other, actually step off into the grass to maintain that 6-foot distance. I've had no one that I find to be behaving in an inappropriate way.
I have found that when I'm out walking, because there's nothing else to do for exercise.
Well, there's running.
Running, but I mean that sort of people being polite and avoiding and getting out. I haven't seen it so much when I've had to go get groceries.
Right.
That's where it's tough. Even with Publix did the one aisle up and the one aisle down, and somebody was going the wrong way, and you're like, hey,
right.
Back up. So it's still difficult to do.
I've actually been using Instacart because I figured, A, it keeps me out of the grocery store, and B, I'm helping support somebody having a job. So maybe some waitress that was laid off got a job delivering groceries. So if I can help out in that fashion, I'm using delivery services.
Walmart.
The other. What is your sense from the county? What is the vibe you're getting from the county? Are you worried that the county's going to move too fast, or you think that they're moving prudently?
I have some concern that they want to move faster than we do, but they have, and I haven't had conversations with them, but Ray has indicated that he's talking very regularly with Brian, and that Brian has agreed to respect what we're trying to do. So even though they may talk in general about opening, I think that they are going to be respectful of the Beach Council and try to coordinate with us.
So I know that a lot of people, the Facebook page yesterday was absurd with the conversations going on about, I shouldn't say absurd. It was just people have nothing else to do right now. They're all cooped up. So they're talking about opening up, it's 50-50 everywhere. It just seems like every part of the country, there's people protesting and arguing one way or the other. But aside from the beach, we have the other issues like the businesses down there are just getting devastated. I mean, who knows who's going to even survive after this thing? Every day it's just death down there, and it's off season and it's typically slow anyway in the summer.
Right.
So if the governor doesn't extend his stay-at-home order past the 30th, will the town allow the restaurants to open up? And what's the plan for that? To go 50% or something? I mean, is there a plan ready to snap into place for them?
I don't think there's a plan ready. That's part of what we'll be discussing on Monday. Roger may have a plan. And I know we've seen a lot of different things come out, but I think every community needs to plan what works for them. Our Times Square area is much closer together than the south end of the beach. So we may even have a different plan for one area than the other. It's something that needs to be discussed. And unfortunately, the council, due to sunshine, we can't talk to each other unless we're in those meetings. People make fun of us for how long they go on, but it's truly our only opportunity to talk.
Right. What is your preference in terms of the restaurants? When would you like to see them be able to open again? And, even if it's at 50%, so they can, make some kind of money.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a specific date in mind. I've started with the beach idea, and until this happens, we don't know how people are going to behave. So if we do this, then I see expanding in other ways after that, if people behave themselves and act appropriately. So I'd love to see us move into something where we slowly reopen. I know a lot of the restaurants are not even doing takeout, so maybe we could even get everybody, opening along those lines more, or maybe some outdoor seating first before we introduce a 50% reduction inside or something like that. But we've got to see. I think we need to take baby steps to get there.
And for the restaurants, the order that came out expires. Just to be clear, from what I was looking at it, it's not until May 8th
Mm-hmm.
that expires, the governor's order, unless it gets extended.
How is that different than the April 30th order?
Well, in the executive order 2071 for the alcohol
John
sales, restaurant and gym,
watching.
right. It said at the bottom of that one, it says it expires in accordance with executive order 2052, which is 60 days from when that was, which was May 9th or March 9th. Mm-hmm. So 60 days from March 9th. Right. So I think that's the other thing is it's not just in the town's control to open these.
Exactly.
That was my question earlier about the beach and the hotels and the restaurants. It's not just within your guys' control to open them willy-nilly. It's his order, the state's order, and then whatever you guys feel is appropriate. Is that
right? And one of the reasons we didn't make orders about the restaurants is because he had already done that. Now, if it looks like his order is going to expire, we may need to step in and say, okay, when that order expires, this is how we want you to reopen if the state hasn't done something. That's right. That's the struggle that we're going on with here, is trying to anticipate what they're going to do, and if they don't do something, that we have something ready to go.
So if the governor lifts the orders, whatever the date is, April 30th or May 9th, is a business free to just go ahead and operate at 50% or do something that is responsible to make some money, or you just have to wait? Because I think if the governor lifts the order, we still have no idea unless there's some kind of specific plan from him to say this is what you can do. And does that have to trickle down through the other governments, or the business owner can just do it like that?
The governor has several large task forces within different business communities that are meeting right now. We just got an email about their reports, and they are all coming out with guidelines that they want their businesses to follow. So my guess is that the governor is not just going to let it expire, that when that date comes along, he's going to have different phase-ins for different businesses that are going to snap into place. That's what I'm anticipating based on what I'm reading.
Are you happy, Roxanne, that the curve has been flattened?
Of course. But,
I mean, do you believe it has? Do you believe it has, is what I meant.
Well, I'm not a statistician. Numbers has never been my strong point. It's one of the reasons I went to law school. But from what I'm reading, it seems like we're doing better here than we had anticipated. And I'm glad to see that, and I'm hoping that continues. My concern, and this is outside, I'm not speaking any longer as a council person. My concern is that we really haven't got testing available that we need to have to do the best way of reopening. So I'm thinking that the opening is going to be slower because we don't have testing in place. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's testing waiting in the wings that's going to be available quickly that I haven't heard about. But I think that there's some key components that don't seem to be in place that are going to slow down the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've got to be, because I'm asking to open the beach for 2 hours. A lot of people are placing me in a box where they think I'm, want to open everything right away, and that's not where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to be very careful that we don't have this curve go back up again.
So are you happy with the responses that you've gotten, the feedback that you've gotten from the residents? Which side has it been on? Has it been mostly let's open things, mostly keep things closed? Because it's hard to tell where the majority of the beach residents are.
Because I anticipated you would ask me this question, Ed, I actually went back last night. I went through my emails back to April 9th and did a little, kept account. Let me look exactly at my numbers here. I got, since April 9th, 5 people that say we should just open everything now, no matter, completely. I got 30 who say do some kind of limited opening. And I got 10 who said don't open at all. So that came out around 75% of the people said do some kind of opening. I'm combining the limited and the completely open people. So now it could be that I'm getting more emails that say open up because people have heard what I said. I don't know how well you can trust this. Right. But a lot of people do copy the council entirely. They copy all of us at the same time. But I believe that about 75% of the people that have contacted me say do some kind of opening.
Gotcha. So what worries you the most about the other side of this?
What worries me the most? It's hard to say. I have this general ongoing, I think we all have this ongoing kind of inside worry going on all the time, non-specific worry. As far as the town of Fort Myers Beach is concerned, I'm not really worried about us as a community. I believe it's going to be slow. I believe it's going to be hard, but I believe we are going to come back. I feel good about that because I've seen what we've done before when we've come through hurricanes and things of that nature. This is going to be different. Things are going to change, but some things might be good. I know personally, I've done a lot of reevaluating in my life about what's really important. I have what I need. And I'm hoping that people also do that kind of self-examination of what kind of lives we want to have in the future.
If you guys take a vote tomorrow, do you think it'll be, not tomorrow, Monday, do you think it'll be for Tuesday or for a week? Or, when would you like it to start if it passes?
Well, I'd like to start as soon as possible, but I do always try to respect what Roger says. So if he says, look, I can't be ready until Thursday morning, I'm of course going to honor his request because he knows what his staffing is like. I know some of the people that work for base are snowbirds and may have gone back home. So I don't know what his total staffing is like. I know that some of them though have stayed just because they don't want to travel right now.
Right. Any other questions?
No,
Rexanne, is there anything else that you want to make sure we address before Monday's meeting, or that the people know we have probably one of the biggest audiences we've had right now?
Wow. The thing I'd like to let everybody know is the town council is getting, I spend a couple hours at least every day reading all the emails that I'm getting, not just from town council folks. We are forwarded tons of emails from the state about all these different committees that are meeting. We get all of the reports from Lee Health, Dr. Antonucci. We're getting tons of reading material. We are considering the medical things. I think you've got a really hardworking council. I believe everybody's reading what's going on and trying to make the best decisions that they can. I feel really good that the people of the town should feel that their town council is really looking out and trying to do the best that we can do under the circumstances.
I think that's true. And I was thinking a moment ago about some of the, it's tough for people. And some of the comments have been really rough. And we were looking at some stuff last night, and it gets a little divisive about the beach opening because people that are not directly on the beach now feel left out. The folks that are just over the bridge are like, well, and it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in.
The thing I try to remember, though, is that there's a whole mob of people that aren't making comments out there. You've got the extremists on each side are the people that are most likely to comment. So there's a whole bunch of people out there just going through their daily lives, understanding that everybody's doing the best they can, and appreciating what happens each day, that things are going to get better.
What is your best guess for when you think that they'll never be back to, at least not right away, when it'll look like there's people flowing in Times Square and the restaurants are open at 50%? What would you like? When would you like to see that happen other than right now? I mean, realistically, what would you like that?
Ed, I would hate to even try to predict that. I hope it's as soon as possible, but this is just such an unknown thing. Even the medical professionals, Dr. Fauci gets on and says, I believe that this is going to come back again in the fall, he says, but he doesn't even know how bad it will be. So for me to try to predict would it would show a pretty big ego on my part.
Will Roger be passing out disinfectant for everybody to inject in their veins on the way to the beach? Don't have to answer that. I just had to stick that in there because it's been so crazy with that this week too. So the meeting on Monday, I want to make sure we remind everybody, if you want to comment in the meeting, that's when you get on Zoom, or you can send an email to, do you recall the email address for comments? If not, I'll post it later because I do have it.
Comment at fmbgov.com.
Right. I'll post it up there so people have it.
I'm not sure we're going to use the Zoom this time. If you look at the agenda, I seem to remember that when I read it, that the only option for public comment was going to be the email.
Okay. That's probably smarter.
Problems with it, but I read it very quickly. So people, if you go to the town website, you can look up the agenda and see what it says to do.
Yeah, and you watch the meeting on YouTube. You can watch the meeting on our Facebook page. But if you want, don't get in the Zoom meeting. Maybe Roger decided, or whoever decided, not to send out the link, which was probably a good thing because it's such a hard thing to manage when you have people in the room that think they're just watching the meeting, but they're actually, and they can't hear it when they're in the room. So, but
right.
But
and then we have the problem. They're in the Zoom app, plus they have it on their TV, and we get the feedback.
Right. Or delay. Yeah.
Delay. So it just doesn't work to do that. And that's unfortunate.
All right, Rex, thanks a lot. Good luck Monday. And hopefully that'll be the first door that opens to many.
I'm hoping that good things happen on Monday, and I think they will.
Well, thanks for your time. It's been a long time since you came on, and we appreciate you doing that.
Good to see you guys.
You too.
Stay safe. Bye.
Roxanne Hassenfrost, everybody. She is one of the town council members. I've been watching Marty try and connect. Marty Harity, who owns Doc Ford's and the Whale down on Fort Myers Beach, but I don't think he's there right now. He was connected. Looked like he was driving, so we'll wait for him to be connected. And of course, if anybody has any comments, you can type them in the box there. If you have any questions for any of our guests,
there's so much. I mean, there's just so many issues for them to tackle. And I mean, we talked about the restaurants and we talked about the beach, and then we didn't get a chance to go ahead and talk about the hotels. But I guess right now they're still closed until the 90 days are up, right? But they're going to revisit that soon.
Yeah, I think they'll probably change that on Monday. I mean, Captiva and Sanibel are taking reservations now, which would seem to be unfair for Fort Myers. Well, next week when this whole thing ends. So let's see if we can get Marty in with us. Marty, you there? Oh, we can't hear you. Can you hear us? You turn your volume up on your phone maybe, or looks like he's driving in his car. He looks good though. Not getting any sound from Marty. I'm going to try and give you a call on your phone and see if that works, okay? I'm going to try and give you a call on your phone. So stand by. All right, dear. So
Here he goes.
we're also going to have Janine on.
Okay, great. Yeah, to
So-
see where the shirt sales are.
I got to get the adapter, so you're going to have to entertain the audience. Maybe read some comments, say hi to Chad.
Well, I've been looking at some of the comments, and I know it's frustrating, but please try to keep in mind that those folks are doing the best they can. They are going to come up with a plan. And there's our dogs. Let's see. Let's pop this up here. They talk about waiting on a vaccine. Well, there's a flu vaccine, and the flu is still deadly in many cases. Heck, they've been trying to come up with an AIDS vaccine since the 80s. I mean, I know that they are working on that. I saw a report about how the coronavirus has actually killed more people in 1 month than the flu. So it was kind of dispelling that original comments that people were trying to compare COVID to the regular flu. So there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of opposing opinions going on out there. And the one thing we do know that we can say is, please do not use bleach in your body. That is my statement. How do you get this off?
Marty, can you hear us now?
You're kind of muffled.
All right. Well, you're not going to use the camera anymore. We're just going to talk to you on the phone, so you don't have to worry about that. But we can hear you, so if you want to just give it, we'll do like the old radio days. Can you hear us now, Marty? That's a bummer. Yes, we can hear you. Yes, you're good now.
And I can hear you real well.
Okay, awesome. Glad we got that worked out. So Marty, the first question I have for you is let the audience know first exactly what you own down there on Fort Myers Beach and near Fort Myers Beach.
Okay, well, we own the Whale, the Beached Whale. We own the Dixie Fish Company and Dock Fords on Fort Myers Beach, and then we have a couple more Dock Fords, one on Sanibel, one on Captiva, and then we're in the process of. We're under construction in St. Petersburg,
right?
And getting pretty close to opening up there, depending on what happens with all the turmoil we're going through right now.
So, how devastating has this been to all your businesses?
Well, it's been pretty devastating, as it's been for everyone. We shut down on March 20th. We shut all the restaurants on March 20th. We chose not to do takeout only because that's really not what we do, and so we shut it down, and we just all went back on the payroll on Wednesday, and everybody, all my employees, we've got close to 400 employees all in, and so now we're staging and gearing up for the announcements as to when we're going to be able to open and how we're going to open and so on and so forth. So
Marty, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, what are you hearing?
Well, we had a little meeting was last week with a couple of the business community on Fort Myers Beach, and I guess we were all kind of keeping our fingers crossed that Governor DeSantis would have said something on Friday.
Right.
And I think that's kind of pushed back a little bit, but I think at least this group that we were with was waiting to hear what the status was going to be from the governor, and then based on that, then proceed forward on an individual municipality basis. And what I'm hoping for is that they give us the go on opening the doors on a limited basis. I think 50% is great. When we first did the reduced space and the social spacing and the reduced seating and so forth at our restaurants, that worked perfectly for us, and we policed it, and it was great. Unfortunately, some people didn't comply with it. And the next thing was, like, the beaches just shut them down because you can't enforce this thing. But I think that's first and foremost. That's what we need to do, and and we're ready to do it. We've had conferences with our people as far as putting together a protocol on how we're going to deal with safety and security and cleanliness and so forth. And we're just chomping at the bit and ready to go. Everybody wants to open.
So we got a question from one of our viewers, from Tyler. He wants to know if all the servers are going to wear masks. That's a great question.
Well, that's part of our protocol, and again, we're kind of waiting to see what right now, we're saying yes, and but again, depending on the protocol that exists and what we hear from different agencies, we'll have to go from there.
So I know you said you're all ready to go when and if the governor,
Mhm.
allows it on May 8th. You have the personal protective equipment in stock, so you have the masks and the gloves and all that stuff, because you're
we have-
constantly hearing about the trouble finding that stuff.
Well, according to my information, I've talked to some of our vendors, the food people like the Cisco's and the Performances and the Cheneys and the U.S. Foods and so forth, and they're telling us that they've got all of the protective paraphernalia that we're going to need, whether it's masks, of course, gloves are a standard and so forth, but they claim they're ready. And I mean, we have orders ready now as far as stocking orders, because when we closed down, what we did is we took all of the perishable product that we had and just divvied it up with all of our employees.
Mhm.
So, our shelves are empty. So it's going to take a little bit of staging time to get up to speed as far as, vegetables and canned goods and things like that.
So Marty, you know how your employees, you went for the most part, you'll know how the employees are going to be with masks and all that stuff and cleaning. How should the customers, what do the customers need to know if they come to your establishment? How should they have a mask? Should they take the mask down, take a bite of food, put the mask back up? I mean, how many people can sit at a table?
Well, I think that's a personal preference. I mean, as far as coming in, first of all, you're making a decision, to go out, number one. And number two, when you come in, I mean, we're not going to open without certain precautions and so forth. So if you come into our establishment, what we're basically saying to you is that we're doing everything physically possible to make sure that that we're ready to go, and we're not going to convey any kind of virus or anything from anything that we're doing. I think one of the things that we've talked about in our operation is, if you only open at half capacity, but we have a full staff of people, we're thinking about doubling up on our staff, so that, let's say, at each table someone has a station and that's their table. Well, we'll have a backup person with them, so that they'll have basically two waiters, one that cleans and sanitizes, right, prior to and after, and another one that serves. So it'll be kind of a team approach in an effort to just keep cleaning. I mean, when we were first doing the limited seating and so forth, one of the things that I liked was people would say to me is, Marty, what's really great is, man, everybody's walking around cleaning stuff and wiping off door handles and, anything that people touch, the menus are getting wiped down and so on and so forth. And you have to be conscientious about it. I mean, it's a serious issue that we have to deal with, because bottom line is we got to get back to work. We got to start, making grouper sandwiches and stuff. So.
Yeah, we're ready for that as well. Now, you talk about the possibility of having essentially two servers for every table and being at 50% capacity. Now, how does that work from a financial standpoint for you? Because it's less people and more, less customers and more workers. So
less revenue and more expense. But I think that's one of the features of this PPP program. I mean, how that's kicked in. I mean, there's those of us that have taken advantage and are participating in that program. My mission is to get my people back to work and get some kind of normalcy back in their lives. And if it means, I mean, one of the problems with the PPP is we're not open, but I put hundreds of people back on the payroll, and because of the availability of these programs. So, it's, again, I think it's safety first at this stage of the game.
Marty, tell us a little bit more about the meeting that you guys had on Wednesday with the rest of the folks on the beach. What are their concerns?
Well, I think the concerns is, when are we going to open? That's it in a nutshell. And whether it's hotel people, whether it was shop owners, whether it was shopping center owners, restaurateurs. And one of the things that we decided was that we would each, from the restaurant end of things, and the chamber was there, Jackie was there, and we've put together a protocol of stuff that we're going to do as we prepare to open, depending on when we get to go. and we'll be ready. And like other things that are starting to happen now, Ed and Kim, are like organizations like the National Restaurant Association are starting to put together protocols on kind of a national basis on what we should be doing as restaurant people to make sure that we're sanitizing everything and so on and so forth. So I think, again, when the word is given that we're ready to open, all of them, at least from our standpoint, from the restaurant end, we're going to have a system that we're going to utilize, and we hope that everybody else gets on the same program. So
one of the questions from one of the viewers, Marty, was, are disposable paper menus an option, or does that just get too expensive? I mean, I can imagine you're printing menus constantly if people are, coming to your restaurants like they do.
Well, I mean, we have disposable paper stuff and takeout menus now. All of our other menus, I mean, they're reusable and they're laminated so they can be wiped down. And now after each setting, those menus are picked up when people order, and they go back to a hostess or another station where we've already had them assigned to just wipe them down with disinfectant and so forth. So, I mean, we're doing, all kinds of preventive maintenance, if you will, to make sure we're as virus free as possible. Excuse me.
There were some hotel owners at your meeting. Do they want the hotels to be able to take reservations ASAP?
Yeah, we spent most of the time talking about restaurants.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think they're putting together their protocol. But yeah, no, I mean, I think you have to have reservations, and that'll give you some idea on what to expect and staffing and so forth. So, again, it's kind of, we're all like in the starting gates, and we're waiting for the starter to shoot the pistol off so we get out of the blocks and get running around the track again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the biggest question that we all have is, how fast does it take to gear up to back to where we were, as far as season? I mean, season's gone. Now we're into the summer months, like it or not. And so how fast does it happen? Do we get people back? And the fear of going out that some people are going to have. We need to overcome that objection. We need to take away that fear as best we can and say, you know what, it was a bad situation, but now we're back and we're ready to go.
I think it's going to be exactly like what you just said. Like, people are, the restaurants have already taken such a hit from being closed.
Right.
You're probably going to have to go to 50%, and there's going to be a huge percent of the population that's not going to go because they're scared shitless that they're going to catch the virus. My analogy is, it's kind of like you buy a hamster and you put it on a wheel and it starts running. And it's going to start out slowly, right? So it gets it's comfortable and so forth, and then it'll speed it up. But in order for us to be successful, we like that hamster running as fast as it can, and it's going to take time to get there. So we're just going to have to muscle through it, and and hope that different things come out, like testing and so forth. I listened to Rexanne talk a little bit about the testing and stuff. Wouldn't it be great? Like, I was delighted to hear that the governor said that pharmacists can do a test now. You don't need a note from the doctor and that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were brainstorming the other day and said, wouldn't it be great if there was like a litmus paper that you came in and we could give you the litmus paper and you could just like touch your tongue with it, and if it turned purple, you had, you could be asymptomatic, or you could have had the thing, but it could tell exactly, here's the safe people and here's the people that have the virus and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's all part of, I guess, the protocol that will eventually evolve on this thing.
Well, I think that's what people, some people were talking about, having thermometers and testing, taking a temperature when you come in. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with that, but
yeah, I agree.
I think that's a little invasive. But the other thing too is somebody could pop some Tylenol a couple hours before. I mean, you just can't police people that way.
Right.
As far as getting up and getting ready, once you get the go ahead, you mentioned about, you're out of produce, you're out of fresh fish and all that stuff. About how long would that take for you guys to get up and running, so that people don't hear, restaurants are open on such and so day and start rushing, hopefully they'll be rushing down, but it's going to take a few days. So how long would that take?
I'm going to say on the long side, 3 days.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
No.
No. Let me tell you. Well, I mean, we're in a ready position.
Mhm.
I mean, I know for a fact that every one of our kitchen people, they have the order ready to go. We're just waiting to put it in and go once we know, the date and so forth. And our staff, I mean, everybody, all of our employees are so excited to know that, they're back on the payroll, and, we're eventually, they see a little light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope here. We're going to be back. It's not an if, it's just a when. And take care of our customers and do what we do.
Marty, how long does that how long does all the payroll money from the government last? How long will that last you?
Well, right now, the monies that we received, you have an 8-week window, I guess, through the end of June to use that money. I think that's one of the things, and it's a 75-25 split. So 75% of it has to go to payroll, right, and benefits and that kind of stuff, and then 25% has to go to rent and things along those lines. I don't think the window of time is long enough, right? I think it should be extended, like maybe another 8 weeks, so that it's now 16 weeks. Because the feature of the money is that if we were open now, I mean, our labor costs would be minute, right? Because we have this money that we're able to use. But now we're not creating any revenue because we're closed. So all we're doing is burning dollars. And I hate doing that.
And especially when you don't know when you're allowed to open, they
Right.
don't even give you a window on the front side of that.
Right. I mean, it drives me crazy to spend money and not have a purpose for why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, we do have a purpose. Don't misunderstand me. But I mean, it's like, the money's there. I mean, we should be, making grouper sandwiches. So let's try to get going. Right.
So the go ahead, dear.
So when that PPE, when everybody starts going back to work, does that stop, or you've already got it, or how does that work?
Well, we already have it. And so we start using it immediately, but it only has an 8-week window. So at the end of 8 weeks, you have to do an accounting. And then if whatever monies are left over, the options are give it back, which I would prefer to do, or it rolls over into a loan, and the loan is a 1% loan. There's no payments due for 6 months, and then it's amortized over 2 years and payable at the end of 2 years. And I mean, that's all great stuff, but for me, the only thing that really matters is let's get those doors open. Let's get my guys back to work. And
how hard was it or easy was it to get that loan? A lot of people had trouble with it.
Well, it's again, I mean, we're pretty efficient from an IT standpoint and putting together. I mean, in any kind of a situation like this, the stack of papers was unbelievable. But I mean, we had it all ready and so forth, and we were in line, and we were, fortunately for us, we have a great banking relationship at Sanibel Captiva Community Bank, and I mean, they took care. I mean, it's a small bank that started on Sanibel, and we have branches around Fort Myers and so forth. But I mean, we were able to get in there and get in line, and once they were able to figure out the system, we were off and running. I mean, the biggest problem was what form do you use? Every time we turn around, the SBA, and I'm not being negative, but there was some other new caveat that said, oh, don't use this, use this. I mean, up to and including when we had an approval number, they changed the form. We had to go back and start over again. But it was persistence. I mean, this was such an opportunity. I mean, for us as a business to take advantage of a program that could help our people. We said, you know what? I would have slept in front of the door of the bank if I had to.
Yeah, we've heard great things about Sanibel Captiva Bank from a lot of people. So, Marty, I'm not in the restaurant business. I only eat at them, and
thank you for that.
And I want to eat at them real soon. You are in the restaurant business, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you do hear people say that the restaurant business is a low margin business. If that's true, can restaurants really survive on 50% of capacity without, getting some rent help or some other kind of help on cost?
No. I mean, I know our operation. We're kind of a bigger places, more seats and that kind of stuff to pay, say, your average restaurant. But no, 50%, when we were doing the 50% thing, and we only did it, for a little while. I mean, it basically covered most of your expenses. But I mean, long term, we would have been dipping into our pocket, eating up our profits and that kind of stuff. We need to get, as I said, we need to get that hamster going. And, we have to do so many covers a day to cover our fixed costs and our overhead and that. And then like any other business, any other kind of manufacturing business, once you hit that break even, then that's when you start making money. But until we get to that level, till that hamster gets running fast enough on that wheel, right?
Right.
It's a sucking sound with cash and revenue and so forth. So
Now, other than that PPP program, have you received any other or applied for any other of the loans that are out there?
we have there are other loans out there, but we have not applied for any
Okay.
of those, like small business loans or anything. This PPP thing, I think, is great. And like I said, the only deficiency that I see is the short window of time. I would like to see it go for like another, say, 8 or 12 weeks or something like that, so that we can really take full advantage. And it gives you an opportunity. See, one of the things that we've done, I mean, every day we're not open, we're burning up, revenue that we could have had. So, I mean, and that, when we look at our profitability, we've burned up a lot of profit. So if we can open up and at least cover our labor costs because of this PPP thing, that's going to help reinforce our bottom line and add more, maybe enable us to recoup some of the profit that we've lost. Because, I mean, in this business, at least in our area, I mean, so much of the restaurant business and the hotel business, we make our money in season. And we're like little squirrels out there storing away all our nuts from the trees. And then here comes the summer months. But hopefully you do enough volume in season that you can weather that storm, those quiet times in September and so forth. But now that's not there. So I think the biggest issue is going to be, what's the future? What's the third and fourth quarter of this year going to look like, right? For a lot of us in the business, whether it's hotels, whether it's retail, whether it's restaurants, that kind of stuff. I think that's, the jury's still out, and that's a function of the confidence that the consumer is going to have in, do we have this thing under control? Am I safe out there?
Marty,
So
go ahead.
let me so you bring up a good point about, you squirrel the nuts away in the season and that's kind of gone. Looking to off-season numbers, typically with the 50% reduction that they probably will put in place, how different will that number be than regular off-season? Do you know am I saying that correctly? Like, so
Will it be the same amount of people,
Yeah,
even though
will
there's
it
fewer
be-
tables?
right.
Well, it'd be, I mean, as for a percentage standpoint, it's about half. I mean, when we were doing the 50% thing, we were doing about half as many covers and half as much volume. So, again, that, there's a break even in every business that you have to get to that number to cover your fixed costs and your overhead and so forth, your cost of goods, your labor, and then you start making profit. So until at 50%, it doesn't happen. So I think, the saving grace here is the 50% is the start of the program, so that hopefully we open and we go 2 weeks. Phase one is 2 weeks. We open, everything's good. The lines are flat. There's no more cases, no increase in cases. Then we can open up a little bit more. Maybe it goes to 75, or maybe you open up 100% after 2 weeks or 4 weeks. But we've got to get the full capacity. But that's the unknown. That's what we don't know.
So, Marty, we'll let you go. One more question, though. Do you think you'll be open in a week?
Probably not.
Oh,
No, seriously. I mean, I think, each area is a little bit different, but I think whatever the municipalities decide, they're not going to say, if they say you can open on, you can open. If they say open Monday, we're not going to be open for a couple of days. So I'm hoping, honest to God, I think if they gave us the go, at the end of this month, we could be open by the first Friday of May, right? That would be great.
awesome.
That would be awesome.
Well, hopefully soon, real soon. And, we always appreciate you coming on. You're awesome to us. And we can't wait to get up to your new store up there when that opens. I mean,
I was up there the other day. Boy, is it sharp looking. It's an amazing location right on the pier downtown. and it's amazing to see how this thing is all coming together. But that's been affected up there also as far as opening and whatnot. But we'll get there. We're persistent. We just keep our head down and keep plodding along.
Thanks, Marty. Have a great
Thanks so
weekend.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, doke.
All right.
Bye.
That's Marty Harity, the owner of The Whale and Doc Ford's and the Dixie Fish Company.
Mhm.
Did I say that? Did I get that
Yeah, I
right?
think you did
You're
get that
you're
right.
hesitating there a
I
little
think
bit.
you did get that right.
Well, let's get back to the phones, everybody. Or actually, let's get back to the picture. Janine, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but you're gonna have to call.
Yay! We
Oh,
don't need
you
the
can?
headphones.
and we can hear
We
you.
can hear you. How are things going?
It's going great. How are you guys doing? This was a
Super.
great show. I was so informative.
Aren't they all?
They all, well, yes, definitely, most definitely.
All right. Well, give us an update on the shirts.
Well, as you can see, I have our newest items. We got the hats in. They're available now online. So they say hashtag we are FMB. I hope it's, oh good, it's not backwards. And they're $20 or online $25 if you'd like them mailed up north. So get your hats. We're continuing the initiative and keep raising money for the hospitality workers.
Yes.
It's been great.
So how is that going? What's the number at this week?
The number right now is at 44,000 and counting. I have not seen the numbers. It's amazing the support that has come in from the community. It's been incredible. We have, I'm looking at my notes really quick. We have had 431 applications come in from servers, housekeepers, the beach chair rental people. Again, the program is designed for those hospitality workers that depended on season to make money through tips, made, either less, the restaurant wage, which is I think $5.85, plus their tips, the housekeeping teams that depended on tips, the Times Square musicians and performers, the musicians who had gigs. So all of the money that's donated is coming in and we're able to get it out. We've distributed 334 gift cards already. So we did a distribution yesterday. Again, thank you everybody because they are extremely grateful. We're the Fort Myers Beach Community Foundation team member, board member Kelly Smith is with me when we do the distributions, and she reports back to them just how excited everybody is. So it's been great.
And the gift cards are $50.
They're $50. And so our hope
$50.
is that we can either, do another round
Mhm.
or as we take in more income from hats and stickers and other ideas that we have, in the pipeline. Because as I've mentioned before, this is not going to end, with COVID-19. It's going to keep going. If there's a hurricane, hashtag we are FMB. We are all in this together. It's not going to stop. This is a volunteer group that is ready to keep going as long as, the donations keep coming in. So I see Jan's posting that she's going to, Jan Fleming, Jan Falcom, who's been doing our PayPal orders, Cheryl Holman, who's our treasurer from the Community Foundation. There's so many people that are on the ground there on the beach. As you know, I live in Estero, so I try to only visit the beach when I'm doing the distributions or when we need to have a little bit of a team social distancing meeting. So I appreciate everybody on the beach, who's chipping in and helping out this initiative. We couldn't do it without all of our volunteers and everybody's money coming in.
So when you're doing the distribution, how is that? Are you like, throwing it?
We do. We toss it. We're like, hey. No, actually, we do a lot of photos. Everybody has to stand at least 6 feet apart. If we feel people are encroaching, we just say, can you just wait over there for a moment? Everybody abides by it. There's not been an issue at all. We wear masks when we do the distribution. We wear gloves. We change out our gloves frequently. They bring their own pens, and then we wipe down. If they didn't bring a pen, we wipe it down afterwards to protect the next person who comes along. So we don't publicize. We only inform the people who are accepting the applications where we will be. We don't publicize it. We don't want people to come with an application and expect to be verified because that's going to keep them with us longer. So it's important that we verify through the email and the applications that we receive. And then they come and we do it for a couple of hours. And yesterday, I think we had about 62 people show up. So it's great.
And remind everybody where they can get the application and
It's on our Facebook page, hashtag We Are FMB, or they can go to the Community Foundation, which is our not-for-profit that's been helping us through all of this. And their website is FortMyersBeachCF.com.
There we go.
And we
Tanya
also
just
have
put
some of the
Tanya
restaurants.
just put it up there, so I got it on the screen here, and I'll just make sure that it's on the website, just like the email address for people to make comments on Monday. So I don't know when I had to run to yeah. Did you talk about the video? How the video's going?
Oh, the video's going great. Oh my gosh, they're so cute, and they're literally some of them are mini movies. So if you have that in you, go ahead and do it, and we will put you on the big screen.
Well, tell everybody that the audience is massive today. They probably have these new people coming on all the time.
So the video, send us your 10-second video wearing your t-shirt and saying hashtag We Are FMB in your own special way. And we're going to put together a video that will stream on Facebook and also at the Beach Theater during the film festival in September. So we've had some really creative videos come in, and they're fun to watch. And our programming team from the Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival is having a great time watching them up in Philadelphia as well.
It should be a requirement that all the town council members do a video. Like, can you imagine Ray trying to figure out technology and doing a video with a shirt on? That would be worth the price of admission.
I will tell you, Ray's a close friend of our family, and my son is in the other room laughing at that comment. Yes, actually, we will be reaching out to certain people. The first few people that Marty Harity is one of them that agreed to pitch in. There was about 4 people that said, hey, we're in. John Lallo, Tom Torgerson. We're going to be reaching out to them and saying, hey, show us your video. And, you don't have to make it fancy. You can literally just say, hey, I'm from Delaware and I am Fort Myers Beach, and that will make it in a clip. Some people have done some really fun stuff of how they're social distancing.
Kim can't do it because her videos go on for 30 or 60 seconds when she starts talking about herself. We'd never be able to edit it down to 10 seconds.
Again, it's my ego. That's the issue.
Actually, Kim got the private email to send us a video.
I don't get it. Leave me out of things. So how was our friend Anita? We haven't talked to her in a few weeks.
She's great. She just texted me a few minutes ago. We keep in touch all the time. So it's great.
Has she gotten out of the house yet?
She has gotten out of the house a little bit, but still physical distancing. And she's doing great, learning about, she's going to kill me for saying this, but I don't care. She's learning about drive up pickup of things. So I'm really proud of her. She is so active in the community, and to be able to take care of herself and take care of others is really important.
How's her hair?
I'm not going to comment because I'm not sure I'm digging this hat. Although I did get to cover my own hair, so that's good. That's good. One other thing I wanted to mention that we Barefoot Event Group did a We Are Open bingo. So it had at the time when we printed the card, it was the restaurants that were open. So if you visit 5 of those restaurants and submit your $10 or more receipt, you're eligible to win a gift card. And if you do a coverall, the first gift card is $25. A coverall is $100 to a restaurant at Fort Myers Beach. So get out there and support those restaurants that are open and as are opening, in the coming weeks.
Cool. What are you hearing down there when you social distance from people and you have conversations with them? What are they feeling? They think things are going to open soon?
I really don't get into. To be honest, I'm not there long enough to talk to people. I haven't seen my parents live. I've said this before. They live on Fort Myers Beach. I have not seen them. They have a shopping cart outside their door in their condo, and we pass off things to each other that way because we're taking it seriously. So I don't engage in long conversations with people while we're there. It's really, driver's license, sign here, stay safe. I don't spend a lot of time doing
What do you
that.
think about? Go ahead, dear.
So for folks who, when you talked about doing the second round, will they have to reapply or?
No, thank you for actually asking that. You will not have to reapply. We do have some people that applied and didn't qualify. If you were a security guard or a front desk, a clerical staff, unfortunately, that's not part of the what we set the program up to be in the very beginning. So we're hoping as the funds keep coming in, so please keep supporting us so we can help more displaced workers on Fort Myers Beach. But right now we're concentrating on the hospitality, the servers, everybody who missed out on that season, the servers, the housekeeping teams, the musicians, the performers, the beach chair rental people, they were depending upon it. We waited so long for season. And as the restaurant owners are struggling, they feel so awful for their staff. So we're glad to see that there's others that are now also doing. I saw the tip the jar. That's a great thing. I know several of my friends are, signed up for that. So anything we can do to help the hospitality.
What do you think? What do you think about this whole, disinfectant injecting thing? Are you going to try that?
So I was on a Zoom call happy hour last night with my family up in Chicago for
Nice.
about 3 hours last night.
How many drinks? How many
That's
drinks
a
did you
long
have?
happy hour.
We're an Irish family.
You don't look hungover at all. You look great.
Yeah, we did. There's singing and dancing and some funny stuff. And I missed all of that, to be honest, about the injections until
You're
someone
such
brought
a
it up and
liar.
asked-
You are so on the fence. I see what you're doing.
I'm not, my son and I we do these Facebook Live videos every night for our family and friends. And last night was challenges, and we did the Mentos and the Diet Coke thing, where
No
they
idea what that is.
explode. You like throw Mentos into a Diet Coke and it explodes. I don't know. My son's 29. I don't know where he comes up with this stuff. And we did a whipped cream challenge. It was a lot of fun. So I totally missed it. And so then they're like, you guys going to do the injection challenge next? I'm like, no, what is that? And that's how I found out.
Oh,
So no.
well, the good news for Trump is he's running against Joe Biden. And have you heard Joe Biden's podcast? It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
You should log in and listen to that one. But I'm only saying that because I see your dad's on here. And
Yes.
somebody amazingly
go.
called me a lefty yesterday. One of our posters called me a left winger, and it had other people cracking up. And Christy
Yeah.
pointed out that you should see what Kim's dad thinks about Ed being a lefty. But some people, it was a big day on the Facebook yesterday.
I
Janine.
saw that. I did catch some of that. It was a big day for you on Facebook.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of action down there. So, do we have anything else to cover to make sure that these people donate to these fine workers down there on the beach?
No, just go get your hats now if you haven't gotten your shirts. Every day I open up that spreadsheet and I see how many from the community foundation, how many people are still ordering, making donations. The other day we had, I think, 3 $500 donations, just straight donations. So the more money that comes in, the more money goes out. It's all volunteer work. There are no other funds being expended except for the shirts and now the hats. That's all it's going. We pay for the expenses and then it goes straight back out to the community.
And what's the total dollar amount raised again?
44,000 and counting.
When you hit that 100,000 mark, you're gonna have a big ass party, I'm sure.
Well,
You know
6
what?
feet away.
We just want to be able to keep giving that money back and opening it up to more people. And then, hopefully we have a quiet hurricane season and we don't need to do it for this year. But, anytime that there is something that comes up where we can help the hospitality industry, that's what we want that money for.
All right, Janine. Well,
Thank
we
you so
hope to
much.
talk to you next week. And those Zoom meetings that you have with your family, are they recorded? That maybe we could get a picture of that happy hour thing, or
I
get
want
a
an
chance
invite
watch
to that happy hour. Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty. We sang Country Road and it was pretty funny last night. So, yeah.
We got to do that. All right, Janine. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
$44,000.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great job, everybody, donating money to that cause there, and for the workers down there on the beach. Every little bit helps, and it's nice to see like Lalo's got his employees back working there, and Marty's got his employees back working there. I don't know who else does. I mean, I don't know. I heard that not too many businesses got those loans, but I mean, it sounded like, I don't know. There's so many different things out there. It sounded like there's 1,000 out of 38,000 businesses in Florida got some sort of loan from the program. I'm still waiting for my government handout. We haven't gotten our
Well,
checks yet. Has everybody gotten their checks
We're
out
not
there?
going to get it until you file. We got to
No,
file.
we don't have to file 2019 taxes.
I heard they changed that.
No,
Does
they didn't
anyone know
change
that?
It's 2018.
I don't think
Listen,
so.
when it comes to money, I know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. It's the
I know.
2018. All right, folks. Well, the meeting is Monday. The town council meeting is a special meeting is Monday. They're going to go over 4 of the declarations, and that includes the hotel reservations. They're going to consider opening the beach for 2 hours from 7 to 9.
Well, they're going to consider the whole thing
it might be 7
Yeah.
to 10. It might be something different.
or
It
nothing.
Might,
I mean,
it might be nothing. But it looked like they had 3 votes last week. They had Jim, Dan, and Rexanne, and Bill and Ray were opposed. But I think maybe Ray could be convinced. I don't think Bill could be convinced, not from what he said last week at the meeting. So that starts at 9 o'clock. And remember, if you want to, Anita says her hair looks, her hair has her own Facebook page now. That was very nice. Yeah, we missed the hairdo. So if you're going to watch the meeting and not comment on it, you can watch it on the town's Facebook page. I'm sorry, the town's YouTube page and our Facebook page. And our Facebook page, you can comment on it. We had like 2,000 views of the town council meeting last week because of so many important things that are going on now. And so that happens at 9 o'clock.
But don't go into their Zoom.
Don't go into their Zoom and think that you're going into the Zoom to watch the meeting. And send your comments to the email address that I'll be posting later. I want to thank everybody who gave us a donation for the show over the last few days. You were all very generous. And Chad, I didn't see a donation from you. So I know that you make a lot of money in the insurance business. So make sure that you click on the donate button on the Beach Talk Radio page. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Sincerely.
And if there's more to come next week, we'll ask Ray to come on and have another show like we did last week. And other than that, we'll be back next weekend, Saturday morning. Thanks for all the comments today. And yes, hopefully we'll see you all at a restaurant near you very soon. Thank you all and have a wonderful weekend, or near us. Bye-bye.